Okay, I'm so excited to have Amanda here with us today for a Q&A of this incredible book, Into the Midworld. Um, yeah, hold up a copy. Beautiful. We're going to get into it. Even going to have a reading of it, but I'd like to introduce Amanda and let you know that she's born and raised in the Pacific Northwest of Greater Seattle. She is first generation born Hmong American, and most of her writing inspirations are inspired by the stories she grew up asking about. It always related to the questions: who are we? Where are we from? Our beliefs, and a lot of folklore from grandma. She loves listening to myths of all cultures and is fascinated by myths and legends from around the world. She graduated from the University of Washington in Tacoma, Washington, with a bachelor's degree in creative writing.
Yes, that's
Amanda,
me.
that
Hello,
is you.
everyone. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so
Yeah,
honored to be here.
absolutely.
Yes, so Haley and I, we've met a few years ago,
Mhm.
and it was super fun. So here we are. And
Here
what
we
do we
are,
do
all this time later. Yeah. What's next? Yeah, I would love it if you wanted to read from the book. Do you have a
Yes,
favorite section?
I do. I have a few,
Okay.
but I'm just going to start with the prologue. And
Okay.
it is one of my favorite scenes. It was actually the first scene that I wrote for the book.
The
So
first scene's the
it's like,
prologue.
yes,
Mm.
yes. And as a writer, you like sometimes you throw out like chapters or you put some in the
Yeah.
drawer, how they say it. But that scene, I always knew I wanted to keep it in. So
How did you
yeah,
know?
it was the vibe that I
Okay.
wanted to set up for my readers, for
Okay.
readers that happen to grab a copy of my novel. So, like you mentioned, I'm Hmong,
Mm-hmm.
and we're a minority group, so there
Mm-hmm.
may be people that don't know much about the Hmong history.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but keeping that short,
Yeah, and
I'm
I was going to say we'll get into it later, but I love that you draw so much of that myth and folklore and give representation to that. So that's incredible that it was your inspiration.
thank you. Yeah, so I love that piece. It's the tone I wanted to build up on. Like if someone randomly grabbed my book, I hope that scene would want
Yeah.
to have them take this home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna read that.
Awesome.
Right. Get cozy listening to my voice. All right, excuse me. I can be a little bit shy when I'm doing my reading. Okay. All right. The sun set over the high mountains, and the last lingering light of purple lit the sky. The dark water glistened from the full moon above and flowed swiftly. Two short figures stood in by the river, by the edge of the riverbank. They bent down to the cold, shallow water, clumsily digging through rocks, looking for small crabs to eat. Their pale, almost blue skin contrasted with their black clothes and long black hair. Emerging empty-handed, they burst into tantrums, flailing their arms in frustration and streaking in dismay. Their high-pitched voices grunted a language that could only be half understood by humans. They brushed their messy, knotted hair away from their faces as they heard voices murmuring from a short distance away. They awkwardly moved their head up and down, trying to get a better glimpse of the humans coming toward the riverbank. The two short figures had come out too early in the night, and their food hunt had been interrupted. Normally, humans would have been sleeping at that hour of the night, but during those chaotic times of war, the humans still lurked in the shadows, when it was the spirit's time to venture. Though humans possessed free will and had the freedom to do as they pleased, nighttime brought the possibility of an encounter with otherworldly beings. As the saying went, humans reigned by day and spirits by night. Before the traveling humans appeared through the jungle, the two figures vanished, leaving nothing behind other than their wet footprints on the rocks of the riverbank.
Love that, Amanda. Ah! You know what really struck me when I started to read this was that line, as the saying went, humans reigned by day and spirits by night. So, I mean, I can see why when you wrote this, that stayed with you. You know what I mean?
Mhm. And you're also a writer.
Mm,
Um, like, as you write something, you change it like 1,000 times,
mm-hmm,
but the
mm-hmm.
idea or the feeling is there, and you're
Yes,
trying to create that. So
yes,
like throughout the years, like I've been working on this project for years, but anywho,
yeah,
so like it's changed, but the idea and like the core, the
yeah,
core, the main point is there. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm glad that I got that.
that
I hope,
vision.
yeah, and that feeling,
Yeah,
to
there's,
captivate captivate a reader and just be
mm,
like, kind of spooky, but I'm kind of interested in this world,
it definitely
whatever
plays
it is.
on, yeah, it plays on that idea of this is kind of spooky, kind of mythical, kind of familiar, kind of not, right? And you want to know
But
more about it.
yeah,
Mm,
and it's actually it has all of that, but we're in the real world.
right. So how is
The,
that like, I'm going off script. How is that a factor for you? Did you want it rooted in the real world as you
oh
wrote
yeah,
these mythical elements? Tell me more.
definitely yes, because for me, um, I think it's also like growing up, being first generation American,
Mhm.
whatever that means, right? But
Right.
it's like there's like two worlds. I grew
Mm,
up with like my family. My dad came into the States in the 80s. I was born 90. So it's just that I think like just growing up and like having stories like that, like some are myths or like
hmm
some are myths or like not fairy tales, folklore,
Sure.
but a lot of it can be truth. Does that make sense?
It does.
Like a ghost story.
Yeah. And I think there's something
Like some people don't believe in ghosts, and I'm just like, well, I don't know if we can be friends because we're just kidding. Or more like, oh, I would like to know why you think that way, but like everyone's
Mhm.
different. But it's
Of
just
course.
like, I mean, I believe there's spirits and ghosts in the
Hmm.
world. So,
There is,
like
for sure.
it's real. So it's not really like fantasy.
Mm. Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Even though
does.
you write a story, when people write a story about like magic, they make it like, oh, it's fake, it's fantasy.
Mm.
But I'm coming from that. I mean, I believe in magic. Doesn't matter like what form it is or the culture,
Hmm.
or if there's science involved, whatever. It's
Hmm.
still magic of some sort, right? So I like to weave my thinking. That's my view as a human being, right?
Yeah.
And then I want to weave that into my book because I want that thought to be with readers that magic is real and it's surrounded by us every day. Spirits and ghosts, they exist even after you're dead, and
Yeah.
they existed before you were even born, you know.
Yeah.
So does that make sense?
It
Coming from
totally.
someone who's not Hmong.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think no, I totally get it. I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, a few things you said resonate with me. I think it's really interesting how you talked about, from your perspective being first generation and you have these two worlds. I think whether you're growing up Hmong, whether you're growing up a different way, like a lot of times we inhabit multiple different worlds with multiple different norms and how we navigate and are fluid within those spaces. And so to have that kind of perspective and then also be like, yes, and magic and spirits and this spirituality within it. And it sounds like it's more than just myth and fairy tale, right?
Mhm.
It's deep rooted beliefs that are being shown here. So there's kind
Yeah.
of two ways to look at it, almost like a duality, as there's duality in the book.
When you say like, when I say like I'm into like myths and stuff,
Hmm.
actually I'm into the potential truth of that story.
Oh my God, I love that potential
Doesn't
truth.
matter what culture it's from.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
it does. Yeah. And it
So that's even more interesting, right? Because it's real.
Yeah. Yes. And I think, there's something to that, right? Stories tell truths um, in different ways. And it kind of, we're kind of talking about what my first question was of like this idea of blending these elements of, there's concepts of dragon spirits and protection of ancestor guardians like throughout the story. Um, what else do you feel like? What made you draw on those fantastical elements and myths that you incorporated in the novel? Like, why those pieces, I guess?
Yes. Again, like I'm Hmong and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much I can say about this. I don't want to like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
forget what I want to say, but I'll just say, well, I'm Hmong.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't grow up in a huge Hmong community, but for me, I think like so but I'm still Hmong. I grew up with that with the culture.
Mm-hmm.
Even though if I was to go to like the Twin Cities or like somewhere in California with a way bigger Hmong population, like and like talking to people my age, we might have like different views or just like values. Well, I mean, not different views or values, but like for me, let me start over. The point is,
Yeah.
so I didn't grow up in a huge Hmong community.
Mm-hmm.
So when if I see a Hmong person, I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Because it's exciting to like meet someone who's Hmong or just be like excited, like, hey, I'm Hmong too, because we're a minority group. So it's just like when you find your peeps.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So with that, I didn't forget the question. So with that, I love my culture from what I know though. Like
Mm.
I'm not like the master of Hmong culture and the heritage, right? Like I don't know a lot of things about it. And growing up like in America, I'm American, so I value my culture from just wanting to like preserve it and just respecting it and loving it because my ancestors worked so hard for us to still survive today.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like for thousands of years,
Yes.
they've fought hard
And
for us to exist today, even though
that's
we don't
such
have a country.
yeah, that's such a theme in the novel too, right? Is like this idea of like legacy and ancestral line and protection and perseverance, determination, like,
Yes,
you
remember
know.
your purse that you got in Thailand? And you
Yeah,
said that it's from Thailand. And I'm
yeah.
like,
That's
that is
Hmong.
that's a Hmong person that made it.
Mm,
But
mm,
because you got it in Thailand, like you
mm,
assume it's like from a Thai
mm, mm,
lady,
mm, mm.
and she
Right.
she was probably bilingual and spoke Hmong and Thai, but because
Mm,
she lives in Thailand, she speaks Thai, right?
mm, mm,
Like me, right now I'm speaking English because I'm
mm,
American, but my
mm,
ethnicity is
mm.
I'm bilingual.
Right, 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 right.
When I'm out in public, I speak English.
I mean, that kind of connects to a little bit. I think if you can follow my brain wave here, I wanted to ask you about
Well,
the
my
time.
brain, I didn't answer your question yet.
Really? It all made sense to me, but carry
Oh,
on.
really?
Yeah, go back. Yeah, go.
Okay, so basically the point is I love my culture and I wanted what I understand from it. I don't know much, right? I'm being really humble here. I don't know much, but what I know from it, I respect, I love, and I want to incorporate that into the novel. So like, like I believe in reincarnation, magic, and ancestors protecting us,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And a higher power like
Mm-hmm.
God, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, I mean, I'm not like religious, I don't go to church or anything, but like higher power, God, the universe, like I
Yeah.
believe in, um, just like I speak to the universe, and then in Hmong we say Lundu, and that's like God.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. And so it's like we all believe in that power or magic that can protect us or that really listen to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to put that in my book because even though we're like different, if we have different beliefs, but I want readers who may have a different religion or religious belief to also see how similar we could be, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Yeah.
Even though we have different beliefs, maybe we're not so
Yeah.
different,
I like that.
So that's okay. And then that's one point of it.
Okay.
And what was the other thing oh, and just yeah, just Hmong. I really in my novel, I really wanted like all the elements of like fantastical,
Mm.
magical things to just be in here because in my world it exists and
Mm.
I want it to be shown to the truest way that I think is still adventurous, but
Mm-hmm.
I would just say it's a fiction novel,
Okay.
but can't really say it's a myth.
I
You get what I
got
mean?
you. I do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I
I
like
hope
that.
that answered that first question.
I think you super answered it. Yes, absolutely. I was gonna say, when you're talking about no matter where the reader is coming from in terms of belief, like they can still see the truth and the story of it. I really felt that, right? Like I don't have a strong religious faith or belief system for my own practice, and I don't have your family history or anything like that. But as a reader, I still was able to so deeply connect with these characters, so deeply connect with the story you were telling and with the higher power and the elements that were there. So I think you really crafted that in a way where readers could experience it. So I think that was really beautifully done. Um,
You.
yeah, and I mean, thank you
I
for writing it.
I mean like the reason this is my little secret as a writer. I mean, I have more projects. As writers, right? We
Yeah,
always have projects in here.
they're always cooking.
And then like you're spacing out thinking about them for like 5 minutes and then you're like, okay, yeah. Anyway,
Yep, yep.
um, but a secret I have for my writing style, I don't know if I should reveal it, but
I don't
okay, I'll
know.
just reveal it.
Ah.
So even though I'm a Hmong writer and I'm always going to most likely write Hmong characters,
Mhm,
because that's like my purpose as an author, a Hmong author.
mhm.
Um, I always remind myself, or I don't ever forget that the story needs to touch readers' hearts in a
Yeah.
way that, because we're all human.
Hmm.
That's my secret. The end.
It's a good secret. I'm glad you shared it because, boy, it feels like we need that now more than ever, you know?
Yeah, because we're human, so
Hmm.
that part alone, like it already like relates all of us. Unless you're not human, then I don't know. But okay, but like if you're an
Yeah,
alien, you're still welcome.
you
Okay.
are still
But
welcome here.
yes, but no, so I always keep that thought in my mind because I want to write. Well, first of all, those themes touch my heart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, like I don't love like politics and stuff, but the people that gets affected by things, like those stories
Mhm.
touch my heart. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah, it does.
So
Hmm.
then, you know, that's how we can all relate. I mean, if you like have compassion and love for people,
Yeah,
then yeah. Okay.
really beautiful. Yes. Um, my second question for you was, and we'll open it up to Q&A if people that have joined want to think of questions or ask questions. You can put them in the chat now too, but I just have a few other
Yeah.
questions and we'll open it up. My other question was about the time period, right? you know,
Mhm.
you said it in this very specific, like just around the Secret War. Um, but even though it takes place around this time period, we mostly see it from the spirit realm or the midworld, right? How do you feel the Secret War impacted this novel, especially with them having to cross, is it the
Main
Mekong,
con. Yeah.
Mekong River? Yeah. I mean, I have to say too, when I read this novel, and this is the power of literature, right? It made me question and curious and look into this time period when I might not have on my Saturday afternoon reading, right, have looked into it before. So it granted me information and curiosity and it had me learn, but I'm so curious about yeah, this time period and also seeing it from the spirit world. Our characters are looking at their family and seeing these huge stakes, right? How was that for you as a writer, I guess, if that makes
Yes.
sense?
Yes. So yeah, the story is the setting, the time frame is like the 1970s,
Mm-hmm.
um, Southeast Asia. So specifically in Laos, because that's where the characters are. But yes, 1970s, and it doesn't seem that far off. It seems very modern, right? When you say 1970s, but that was like way before we were born.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, So then, but it's still so close, you know. So that's what makes the book even more like interesting, I would say, because you're like, wait, why is there all this magical or fantastical things happening in 1970 Laos? Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yeah,
But then
yeah, yeah.
like we touched based on earlier, but it still exists right now.
Yeah. Right.
So, yes, but 1970s because that's when the Secret War ended and in Laos.
Mm-hmm.
And that just impacted basically all the Hmong that lived in that area. And
Mm-hmm.
like lives changed, after the war. It didn't just end. The war ended, but there's still things that went on for years and
Mm-hmm.
people were still on the run or trying to escape the country or escaped the country even like 3 years later. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just everyone has a different story to tell. The people that were alive during that time, I wasn't alive yet.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of relates to my characters because they're on the run to get out of the country because the Hmong supported the um I would just the non-communists. So, anywho, so then
Mm-hmm.
when the country changed, then it just affected many people. So my family was just part of that. And I don't want to get into the politics because I just want to stick to the story.
Yeah.
And I've said that already. But so basically it's a really traumatic time for the history of the Hmong. So like anyone my age or younger than me or a little older than me, who are born in the US, like even if our parents or grandparents don't talk about it, it's just like it's there, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
like we've grown up just kind of knowing. I mean, some families may talk about it, but our family didn't really. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I always have questions like, who are we? Where are we from? Or why are we even here? Because I'm first generation American, I'm
Mm-hmm.
bilingual, you know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know I spoke two languages until the first day of kindergarten, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to learn to separate English and Hmong. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember how my brain switched. I was like, as like a little 5-year-old.
Yeah.
But basically, there's no significant time for the 1970s besides that it's when the Secret War ended, and that's where the story starts. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
why are they on the run to go to Thailand? Because it was a big situation that happened to like thousands of Hmong people. And basically, everyone who's in the States or in a foreign country right now who are Hmong, most likely their ancestors made it across the river.
Sure.
So, my
Yeah.
ancestors, my dad made it across the river,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and here we are.
Here
And
we
yeah,
are.
so
Yeah.
that is. to simply answer that question.
That makes a lot of sense. And I mean, it also, ties into this next piece of the tiger footprint. So this is not a spoiler, but tiger footprints play a significant role, especially in the end of the story. And I should say in this book, something beautiful that I didn't expect was kind of some extra information from you. There's like some of your thought process at the end, a poem at the end. It's a very special edition of this book, I should say. And in those, kind of that thought process and that context at the end, we learn even more about those tiger footprints after we've read the novel. Um, and that plays a connection both to your family history and how the novel finishes and how they made it. Do you want to share anything about that in the novel without
I mean, I
spoilers?
love that's a key point in this whole book. One of the main reasons why I wanted to write this book.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little spoiler because, but it's okay. Um, I love, should I speak of it like it's a spoiler, but who cares? Or
It's up to you. It's up to you. I think tiger footprint is not a spoiler, but how you talk about it could be a spoiler.
I get
So,
it. Okay. Let,
you
let's
know,
not spoil it. Let's
let
not
that
spoil
don't spoil it, but just maybe
it. Yeah,
share what are your thoughts on,
I get it. My
yeah,
brain was going one way when you
yeah,
said clean, but then now my brain's going a different way.
got you.
Okay, so with Tiger Footprints, this whole book has like magical elements and fantastical elements that happen throughout, right? So there's
Mhm.
not a chapter that goes by that nothing awesome is happening, at least in my opinion,
Yeah, that's
because
true.
I wrote the book. Um, it's you're always on your toes and you're like, what? You know what I mean? Like you keep going.
Hmm.
But with a tiger footprint, it's something that happened to my characters, right? And you're just like, like the tiger, if we have like, I guess you could say it wouldn't even be folk tales, just tales of
Hmm.
what happened. Like even my grandma's generation, like it happened a lot, right? So like the tiger, there's a story, and like if you're a Hmong, you should know about it. The tigers, like they can like shapeshift into like humans and woo the lady, like a
Hmm.
beautiful village beauty or something.
Hmm.
And like if she won't know he's like a tiger, and then like that could become her lover or boyfriend, and if like she goes with him or like she weds him, like marries him, then usually they die. Does that make
Oh.
sense?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because like, if you're gonna go with someone who's not like human, like they live in a different place or maybe a different realm,
Hmm.
and to go there, you gotta leave here, you know. So it's like things like that. So that's like a little background of like a tiger who's like not a demon, but like a monster demon.
Hmm.
But so with that, when you do see the tiger footprints, it's kind of like, you know, who is it? Like this is without the spoiler.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We get you. Hmm.
Like okay, so those it's like I guess you could also say like it's a norm. It's a norm. And into the mid world, things like this happened. You know what I mean? Like the footprints is just like what happens to that character to be able to like do that. Yeah, I'm gonna spoil it, and
Yeah.
then I'm
Okay.
gonna tell someone to fast forward 30 seconds if you don't want to listen, okay?
Okay.
Oh wait, or should I not? I don't know.
Yeah, do
Okay,
it. Do it.
okay. So fast forward 20 seconds. This is live right now, so sorry. But 20 seconds if you don't want to hear the spoiler. So basically the footprints, it just means that you know, Sa has accomplished his goal and he's finding a way out for his family to get to safety, you know. So but because he's a spirit, he needed something or someone to like be able to like direct them. safely to safety. So, yeah, I just wanted to, I kind of like want to leave it open to what people want to think because, like, is it Sa that left the footprints or the person that he asked for help that left the footprints? But either way, the footprints were left, you know.
Hmm.
But in the reality, this is not about the book anymore. This is about the author's note now. So now
Hmm.
we're done with that. We're going to the author's note. But in reality, like there were footprints and yeah, it led them somewhere safe, but not the same ending as in the book.
Yeah. And that's where the inspiration and the story kind of diverge, right?
Mhm.
Ever so
But I
slightly.
wanted to give the ending that I wanted. I wanted to give basically a happy ending to every Hmong person that never made it. Does that make sense?
It's beautiful. Yeah, that's lovely. Hmm.
Yeah. So that let's just stop there with that one.
Yeah.
I just don't spoil it anymore
Yeah, yeah.
because
No more spoilers.
I love it when readers finish a book and it feels so complete. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
when you love the book and then the ending was just like really rushed or something, and you're kind of like, oh, but I really like the book. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hope that my ending, just, really like makes the reader like happy with the end. You don't
Mm-hmm.
know if it's a happy ending or a sad ending, but just happy with the ending. Like
Yeah.
satisfied.
Yeah, I was
Satisfied
gonna
with
say you're satisfied, right, with the journey. You might have some questions, you might have some hopes for the characters, but there is kind of some resolutions and some satisfaction and
Mhm,
and some calmness at the end, right? You're kind of on, like you said, every chapter is like things are happening, there's journeys, there's things that happen throughout, and then at the
mhm.
end you get this moment of peace kind of for them. And I won't say how or why.
Yeah, we'll just leave it there. You have to read
We'll
the
leave it
book,
there.
okay?
You have to read the book.
No.
Ta-da. Okay.
Yes.
Speaking of this book, you had full creative control over producing this book, and it's beautiful. I mean, I love the cover. It's so lovely. And
Yes,
throughout
thank
there's, yeah.
you.
Um, how was the experience of publishing this, your special edition?
The thing is, like, it's my first one,
Hmm.
so a lot of learning, and I still don't know a lot, you know.
Okay.
I did it. It exists. It's in the hands of readers, so I'm proud
Yeah.
of myself. But I mean, lots of, that was the main thing. We may have talked about this when we met each other like 2 years ago,
Mm. Yeah.
but I was like, oh, I may want to go indie.
Hmm.
Like how there was writers who want to go indie and some want to go the traditional.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For me, I respect both. But
Totally.
the reason why I was slightly more into the indie route was because, yes, I wanted control over um, my project, you know,
Yeah.
because like I want to pick the cover and I want to like, I don't, I'm always open to, what is it? To, not criticism, but, like when people give you advice, I'm always open
Feedback?
to,
Critique?
yeah, just feedback. Like
Yeah.
how some readers don't like that at all. Like
Mm.
for me, I love that, because I know every reader is different and writer, and it's always good to like know more about like people's brains, just so
Hmm.
like you're okay, you keep it in mind, and so for your next project, you want more, you want to draw more people in.
Hmm.
But anyways, yes, with this, I wanted total control. One of the major things is I'm Hmong, and like that's a minority group, and I just feel like it's not that it can't ever make it, but it's just that I just wanted to stay true to my novel, to
Hmm.
myself. I don't want to change anything
Right.
to like make it make sense, you know,
Right.
to the Western audience, you
Yeah.
know. Even though my book totally makes sense.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
but just like I know there's like probably like, sometimes they have requirements, things that they need to make sure that flows the way that it needs to flow.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's the reason why this project was more of a personal one. So I wanted to self-publish it.
Hmm.
But I was, yeah, to keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Yeah. I mean, it's beautifully done. And I think, when I was reading it, one of the things I was struck by was just how much, like you said, not only control, but content you could provide. Like the notes at the back, the poem at the back, like it feels special. It feels like a special edition.
Yeah.
Um, and the fact that you could put all of that in here might not have happened, right? If it was a different way it was produced. So,
Did you notice the little cute butterflies?
yes, tell me more. The two at the front?
Yeah. Did you notice them?
Yeah.
They're not just random butterflies.
Are they your grandparents?
They're, you know how the character goes through the journey and he always kind of
Yes.
had,
Are they the two kids?
or, no, those are the fun songs, but,
Okay, okay.
but,
Oh,
but,
okay.
but throughout the journey, remember when Sa like always gets into trouble, but there's always something like
Mhm.
like two things that are always like with him.
Yeah.
Like when he went on that island and then he was going back and then like there were birds, but before
Yes.
that they were like light by the jungle. And
Yeah.
then basically it's your guardian angel. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
It,
Is
like
it different?
it
Is
could
it
be like
different?
your angel, your ancestors, your
Mm,
protector. You know what I mean?
yeah. Does everyone have two, or is that specific to Saw?
That's just specific to Sal.
Okay.
But it's just a reminder that, you got your little butterfly or your guardian angels next to
Yeah.
you. Some of you might have 10, who knows? But,
Yeah.
you know, you always have like a little like protector or your ancestors or something guarding you. I don't know if anyone caught that, but I wanted to put that little cute special thing in there.
Yeah. And you couldn't do that maybe, right? A different way. So that's really cool.
Yes, and like you said, I did put a special poem in the back.
This one, right?
Um, yes. I will say it in this virtual meetup is that this I mean that poem this poem,
Yeah.
it was inspired by my dad's journey coming to America as a young boy because of the war.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't get separated from his family, but he separated from his family to come with relatives to come to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And then years later, the rest of my uncles and my grandma made it, but our grandpa didn't make it. So, anyways, the story, it follows now in this poem, it sticks more to like the modern world because we're in
Yeah.
America, right? We're in the modern world with different problems, nothing
Mhm.
spiritual or anything, but just like a life as like you know, coming to a new country and just experiencing hardships, prejudice, racism, but
Mhm.
without putting anger in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right. There's more like
It,
resiliency than anger in it.
yeah, like I wanted to show like a person's strength instead of like a poem about being angry about racism or
Hmm.
something, or
Yeah.
being in poverty. I
Yeah.
want to show the strength of a human, and in the end, you do survive.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that is, again, it doesn't relate to the war, right? But it relates to people that were affected by the war and had to come to a different country.
And the journey, right? Like the ripple effect afterwards, what
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
Hmm.
So this generation, like what happened to my dad and thousands of people in his generation, that's like their story.
Yeah.
And their stories that if they want to tell, they can. And then my generation, it's like a different feeling, because we're
Mhm.
like, oh, first generation born. We have like hardships, but differently. you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's always going to change every generation,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm. What do you feel is one thing you want readers to know about your book, about your novel?
One thing, yes, one thing we've repeatedly said this, but I would say the themes that are in this book that seem like magical or fantastical, just know that it has the potential to be real or true.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also my world, my brain.
Yeah.
So, if anyone can relate to like how my brain thinks or like this book, and like if this makes sense to you, um, then we can be friends. And that it's just there's a lot of truth in here, even though it's fiction, you
Mm,
know. Yeah.
absolutely. Cool. Well, before we open it up to questions from our people that are here, where do you think people can find you? Where can they find your book?
Oh
How can they
yes.
read it?
Darn, I didn't write it, but
I'll put it in the description too. I'll link to your stuff,
okay.
but
You guys can find me on Facebook. Please, my full name is Chisi Amanda Xiong, and I'm sorry, mine is backwards, but look at Haley's. And straight up, it's Chisi Amanda Xiong or
um,
Chisi Amanda Xiong author. So that's my page. Follow both of them.
okay.
Um, and then on there, you can go to my website and order the book.
Yeah,
So yeah, and I also have an Instagram. It's Chisi Amanda Xiong, right?
cool. And I'll
So
link
yeah.
all that in the description.
Thank
Links to the book.
you.
It's super easy to order and it came very quickly. And mine came signed because you get directly
Yes.
from the author. So that's super exciting too.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like when we first met, when Haley and I first met, like none of this existed yet. It was, I mean, partly it
It
existed in my
it was in
laptop.
your brain, right?
It existed in my laptop.
Yeah, right.
Now it's really here, and it's really cool that I get to be here today with you. So thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda.
Yes.
I mean, it's such an inspiration. Yeah. Amanda and I met, like she said, 2 years ago. We were at like a writing convention down in Minneapolis. And we were chatting about your book. And I remember you telling me kind of the premise and the 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 root inspirations and things like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to read it. And I'm
Happy
so,
hour.
yeah, it was happy
Happy.
hour. And I was like,
It
I
was
want to read
happy
it.
hour. We walked like 2 or 3 blocks, and then yeah, I don't remember. Oh, it was our other girlfriend. She
Hmm.
was, and then it was a really nice bar.
Hmm.
And yeah, that was fun. And then we
Yeah.
passed this person that seemed kind of sketchy, and then later we found out he was one of their like readers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but I remember. I
Yeah.
was just, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was a good bar,
Anyway,
better company.
it was super fun. I'm
Yeah.
so happy to be here, and I'm glad that we
Hmm.
still connected. So
Can
thanks for
still
inviting me
connect.
on.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you for being here and for sharing your time and for sharing your book with us. That feels like a good time to open it up. So there's a couple people here. If they have questions about the book, the writing process, anything, I'll open it up to them.
Hello, does anyone want to ask me anything? Here's your chance. The
And
people
I
on
can,
live.
yeah, we're live. I can, people would rather I can stop recording pretty soon. So your questions don't need to be recorded for the internet. I'll give them a couple minutes or a couple seconds and
Yes. But anywho,
mm,
if anything exciting is like around, let me know. Maybe sometimes we can go back to another big event.
yeah, I would love that. Maybe we can connect there. Maybe you'll present. You could share more about your book there. You could be on a panel. That's what I'm going to manifest for you.
I'm manifesting that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
All
Okay,
right.
well, Amanda, I'm going to say thank you so much. I'm going to say to everyone, you should check out Into the Midworld. I'm going to stop recording here. We do have a question, and it's who was your biggest inspiration?
Yes. Wait, let me read it in the comments.
Yeah.
Who was your biggest inspiration to writing your story? Yes. I briefly mentioned it in my author's note, but basically it's my family, like family. I just wanted to get to know more about my family. So that was what sparked me into writing the story. And also, our grandfather passed away way before any of us were born, so we never knew him. And there's only a single picture of him that we have.
Mhm.
And, you know, so we didn't grow up with a grandpa. And yeah, as I got older, I was just more interested in him. And then when I heard a part, like the last, and I always talk to my grandma too. So I want to know about stories from her past in her youth. And so the last time she was with him was closely related to like how it is in this novel as well.
Mhm.
So then, yeah, that was what inspired me to write a story that was inspired by my family, my grandparents, but at the same time could be relatable to like thousands of Hmong readers or just readers in general who have compassion for stories like this. So yeah,
It's a good
thank
good
you.
question.
Yeah,
And
thank you for the question.
mhm, maybe just before I stop recording, I want to say maybe what is one thing people can look forward to from you as a reader of your book? They read this book, what can they look forward to? What are some of the projects you're working on? And then we'll sign off from there.
I just promise more adventure. And I mean, I
Mhm.
love love. So maybe the next one will have love in there. Like I know. This one, it has themes of love, but not the romantic love. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I hope that I have something already, but I'm not gonna say anything yet because this is what's existing right now.
Right.
But I want you guys to just, keep um keep up to date with me on my socials, please. I know I love every single of you guys and look forward to my future projects that will have love in there and just more adventure, magic, and fantasy for sure.
Awesome. Okay, so we know that we got love and adventure coming from you. We know where to find you. I'll put it all in the link below. I'm gonna stop the recording here, but thank you so much, Amanda. Thank
Yes.
you.
No, thank you for having me. I'm so glad, like, yeah, we're still connected. So
Mhm.
it was super fun.
Awesome.
And thank you everyone for coming in the live. It was super last minute, but yeah.